A very good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for coming for today's training on creating clean air with renewable energy. I'm sorry that I have to conduct my training while sitting because I recently had a fracture on my leg and cannot stand too long. Okay, so before we dive into today's session, I'd like to ask each of you to take a moment to complete the pre-test. Please use your phone to scan the QR code displayed on the screen and answer all the questions. You'll have about 10 minutes to complete this pre-test. So we start now. with the pre-test? So thank you everyone for taking time to answer the pre-test. I've just reviewed the response and I noticed that there is certain gaps in the understanding. So that is completely okay, because this is why you are here today for the training. So we will go through and we'll try to cover whatever whatever gaps that are there during your response in pre-test. Okay, so can we get started now? So for the first thing that we're going to do is ice-breaking session. What you'll be doing now is I'm going to split you all into two groups, or you all can split yourself into two groups, and then you're going to come front here and do some introduction about yourself, and then you should have a team name. Okay, your group, you're going to have a name for that, and then you're going to come front here and also give a cheer for your name, for your team name. Okay, so you have 10 minutes now to discuss what is your team name and then what is the cheer like. And please remember that this is the team that you'll be using for later activities like the assignment and as well as case study. Okay, so you can start now, discuss. So, are you all ready?
Yes.
Got your names? So this will be group 1, and then on the left hand side is group 2. So group 1, you can stand, briefly introduce yourself, and then tell me what is your group team name and do some cheering. Can you start?
My name is Annie. So I'm a researcher that's currently working in stem cell field. So my job is more on to like the extraction and characterizations of plants. Then for the applications of like regenerative medicine.
Okay, nice.
My name is Emily and I'm a researcher in the medicinal plants. So currently my whole focus is in the traditional herbs, whereby I will be doing like the therapeutic properties of like anti-glycation or anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties of that particular medicinal herb.
Okay, nice. So what's your group name?
So our group names are like EA Explorers.
EAX. What does it stand for?
EA is because Emily and Abby, then Explorer is both.
So what is your group chant? You can do your chant now.
So because we are researcher.
Okay. Okay, so any chanting for your group? Any cheering?
Okay, so we are EA Explorers.
Oh, that's good. Very nice. Okay. Great. So group 2, are you ready now? So the same thing, you'll be introducing yourself and then your group name, and then you can do your cheering. Okay, you can start.
My name is Maisie and she's Angel. Actually, we are both from Roche company and our job scope mainly is focused in application specialists. Then our group name is Lost in Parables.
Lost
In Parables.
in parables.
Yeah.
Why? Any reason?
Because we are the unstoppables.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice. So what is your group cheering? Okay, start.
你讲的是一样的。1, 2, 3. We are the unstoppables.
Okay. Nice, nice, nice. Thank you so much. Thank you for introducing yourself. So just remember that this is the group that you will be in for the next activities like assignment and case study. Okay. So can we go into the topic today, the training?
Yeah.
So today we will be learning about creating clean air with nanotechnology. So as you know that this is where nanotechnology is the cutting edge advancement at the nanoscale itself. It transforms a lot of things, not just about pollution, not just about cleaning air, but nanotechnology is very, very diverse. It is being used for different fields. It is being used for agricultural, it is being used for medicine, it is being used for industries. But today our focus will be on cleaning air, on the environment, pollution, okay? So let's start with the introduction. As you all know that air pollution is one of the major threats to the environment as well as to ourselves, to human health itself. But what happened is there is many traditional method that is being used to clean this pollution. The problem with this traditional method is they have lack in efficacy and also they have this long-term impact issue. So what happened is there is a lot of study or there is a lot of research that is being conducted to actually find alternative method or innovative method to clean pollution, to find a right way to remove this pollution, because as we know that pollution itself is very bad for us, right? So that's where nanotechnology came into picture. They believe that nanotechnology, they can do a lot of things, a lot of advancement because of their cutting edge advancement. Okay, this nanotechnology, right, they are very, very small. So they believe that this nanotechnology they can capture and then they can also neutralize the pollution. So not just removing the pollution, but we can also convert this pollution into something value-added product kind of thing. Okay, so now here are the 3 learning objectives of this training. This objective is derived from the Bloom's taxonomy, okay, through the sharing of knowledge. Second is validation of comprehension, and also anchoring what has been learned through application. So by the end of this training, you should be able to understand the fundamental. That is the knowledge part. So you should know what you are doing today all about. Second is illustrate the role of nanomaterials in creating clean air. This is the comprehension part. And third one is develop sustainable approach in air quality management system. This will be the application. How are you going to use this technology in future? Okay. So now let's go through the course content. As you all are well aware that this is a one-day training, right? And we have to cover 4 modules. So module 1 will be knowing the air pollution challenges. Second one is comprehending nanotechnology principle. Third is applying nanotech to control air pollution. And fourth will be sustaining innovation and public implementation. Okay, so are you ready to go into the module 1? So module 1 is knowing the air pollution. Under module 1 we have 4 contents. Content 1 is defining different types of air pollution. Content 2, identifying sources of air pollution. Content 3 is about recognizing health and environmental impact. Content 4 is identifying current control measures. So we start with content 1. Content 1 is defining different types of air pollution. First thing is identifying particulate matter. As you all are well aware that particulate matter is something that is found in the air. Correct or not? Ever heard of particulate matter before or not? Yes? No? No. Okay. Particulate matter it can be in the form of solid particle. It can also be in the form of liquid. Okay. There are complex material which is found in the air. It can be in the form of dust, smoke, or even water vapor. So what happens here is particulate matter, they can come from, we are spraying perfume, right? Perfume, you can get particulate matter from your perfume. You're spraying Shiltox. Use Shiltox to kill these insects. Even from that you can get particulate matter. It comes from dust, your dust that you are cleaning. From that it comes from vehicle, it comes from wildfire. But then now, what is this particulate matter? They can be in different forms. We have PM, particulate matter 2.5, particulate matter 10. So what is this 2.5 and 10 now? It is the dimension size. So particulate matter 10, they are in the micrometer, 10 micrometer in size, or it can be less. This PM10, they are inhalable. You can inhale that one, and they usually come from construction, dust from roads, dust from construction, from mold, and even some industrial activities. Whereas for particulate matter 2.5, they are very, very fine, very, very tiny. Their diameter is only 2.5 micrometer or lesser than that. Where it comes from usually? Where do you think we can get particulate matter 2.5? From smoke, combustion. What else it can be? Power plant, burning. So this is where 2.5 will come. But when we compare it between 10 and 2.5, of course both is dangerous. But 2.5 is even more dangerous because it is very, very fine, right? Very, very tiny. What happens? It can enter into your bloodstream itself. Okay. Besides all that, we even have particulate matter which is 0.1. It is known as ultra fine particles. This is the worst because why? Its diameter is only the diameter is only 0.1 micrometer. What happens when we inhale something that is so tiny? Not just bloodstream, directly it can go to your lung area. Okay, so this is the particulate matter. Next is understanding gases polluted. So what are the gas pollutants that you know around you? What are the gas pollutants that is there outside?
Sulfur dioxide.
Sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide. What else? Sorry? Nitrogen oxide, good. Cannot think of anything. Yes, true. We have a lot. We have sulfur. We even have nitrogen oxide. There is a lot. Now you are sitting here in this room. You only know that we are inhaling oxygen. We are exhaling carbon dioxide. And carbon dioxide is a type of pollution as well. But besides all this, we even have other gases pollution around us. Correct? All we know that we are looking into carbon-free country, carbon-free world in the next 40 years, 50 years. But people are not aware that not just carbon is the only source of pollution. We have others like what we mentioned, sulfur dioxide, we have nitrogen oxide. All these gases, you need to find a way to remove this from the environment. We don't just want to clean carbon dioxide from the environment. We want to remove all the other pollutant that is there. Okay? So now, the next one is recognizing volatile organic compounds, VOC. Have you all heard about VOC or not? No. What is VOC is actually any kind of chemical which contains carbon in it. And then this particular chemical, they can vaporize in the environment. For example, all of you are researchers, right? You do a lot of research work. You use ethanol, you use acetone, this kind of things daily. So you know that the moment you open all this chemical, they actually vaporize outside, correct? They have some kind of smell. You can smell that, right? This is actually VOC. You are inhaling some kind of pollutant inside yourself. All of you, do you like to use nail polish or not? No. Okay. If you see the nail polish remover, right, it has one kind of smell, correct or not? Actually, that is also a part of VOC. You wash your bathroom. You use Clorox, you use all this washing material, bleaches and everything, right? This all contains VOC. Okay? So this VOC is another type of pollutant. Besides your gases pollutant, VOC is also known another type of pollutant. Why this VOC is also serious is because VOC, they can react with sunlight to form ground level ozone, which it actually worsen the air quality. Okay, we never know, we are using it all indoor. The VOC, majority we use it indoor, but actually this VOC can even cause trouble outside. Okay, clear? So next is determining between indoor and outdoor pollution. So pollution is not just outside, but pollution is also inside. As I mentioned earlier, using bleach, using all this washing dishes, smoking indoor is also a type of pollution. Correct or not? And then cooking. Is cooking pollution? Yes. Cooking is also pollution because it is bringing some kind of smoke outside. Okay? So these are some kind of indoor and outdoor pollution that you should be aware of, because both are equally harmful and both requires attention. Clear so far? All okay? So now going to the next part, which is identifying sources of air pollution. So now, where air pollution comes from? The first one is industrial emission. We know that there are many factories and also power plant outside there, correct enough? And what happens to this factory and power plant?
They are burning those fuels every day, so they are releasing those smoke into the air.
Correct. They do, especially for coal or fuel burning. What comes out from the factory is smoke. What is inside the smoke? Harmful gases. Mainly is sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxide. So what happened is, this particular burning process, they actually cause a lot of pollution. Can you imagine a country without factory or without a power plant? No, because they are a part of economic, right? We need factories. We need production from the own country. So we cannot stop we cannot prohibit a person to open any kind of factory, correct? Instead of that, we need to find alternative. What could be the next step to prevent this kind of pollution? Okay. So next is, this is the first one. First one is factories, power plants, and etc. Second one is investigating transportation and fuel. All of us drive car. No. Yes. Majority yes. So when you drive car, do you know that you are one of the main contributors for pollution? Correct or not? So what comes out from the car? Carbon monoxide, hydrocarbons, and also nitrogen oxide. Not just car, but then trucks. We have trucks going daily up and down, transporting goods. We can't stop that. Airplanes. People are traveling up and down. We can't stop that neither. That is also another source of pollution. And then ships. Did you even imagine that ship actually causes pollution? Yes, because ship also they use fuel, coal for burning inside, right? So they release some kind of smoke outside from the ship. So even ship cause pollution. What happens here is when you use fuel which is diesel, like trucks they use diesel, right? Diesel and any low grade petrol, they greatly affects the pollution level. So when we comparing between car and we compare between trucks, of course trucks they give you more pollution because of diesel. Car lesser pollution. And comparing with ship and airplane, which one is worse? Ship is worse because they use low grade petrol. Okay, for their movement, transportation kind of thing. So they also greatly affect the pollution level. Clear so far? So next is identifying agricultural and urban sources. So now, how can agricultural cause pollution? Correct. How pesticides? What happens? Why pesticide? Because pesticides contain sulfur inside. They contain what else? Nitrogen. They contain methane. All these chemicals are there in agricultural. What else? Besides pesticide, what else? Transportation is involved for agricultural. What else we can say? Tools used for example. The truck is the crops. Truck to remove the crops kind of thing. True, yes. The main thing is open burning. Open burning. Now a person has land, correct? The land is, let's say the land is doing some kind of plantation, or let's say carrot plantation. And then he noticed that he doesn't make good income out of this carrot plantation. He wants to change to cucumber plantation. He can remove the carrots and plant the cucumber. Usually cannot. You have to clear off the whole land first. And the easiest method for clearing off those plants is burning. It is open burning. They have to just burn the whole area and then replant back, re-soil it back and then replant back. So what happens open burning? Haze. This is a common thing that happens every year. Our neighboring country, right? Indonesia. Every year they have to do open burning. We always scold them. Because of them there is haze. But we cannot complain because that is the way, that is their economic. Okay? That is their economic. They have to clear off their plantation area, do open burning and replant back for the next phase kind of thing. So these are some things that we cannot stop. Okay. Second thing is, that is agricultural. Second thing is urban sources. What is urban sources? What is urban sources exactly? You are staying in urban area. Kuala Lumpur, you are in Bandar Saujara Putra, this is all urban area. So what is urban sources? Is it essential? Is it necessary to build hospitals? Building? Is it necessary to have schools? Is it necessary to have shops around you? But construction is another major contribution to pollution. And can we avoid all this? We cannot avoid all this because this is something that is very, very important to living, for our living purpose. So urban area also, they do what? They have high amount of pollution because of construction, because of waste burning. Easy way of disposal. All we know is we dispose our rubbish inside the bin, and then we know that people comes and collect it. But what happens after collection? They take your rubbish, they have an open space where they go and burn your rubbish. That is the easiest way to dispose. They cannot do any other method, correct or not? So all these are essential in our life. We cannot avoid this kind of things, okay? And also dense traffic. As you all know, we are in urban area. For you to come for this training today, how much traffic you have to go through and come? How many cars are there on the road? Correct or not? So these cars, they actually cause a lot of pollution as mentioned earlier. And the last part is reviewing household and lifestyle factors. So what is this reviewing household and lifestyle factors? What is it all about?
Is it those that we use bleach to clean those toilets?
Correct. Bleaches we use to clean toilets. What else? Aircon, exactly. Cooking. And then we use wood stove. Have you seen people who are using wood stove or not? You do barbecue. So you use outside charcoal, wood stove. This is also a contributor to pollution. What else? Burning incense. Indians, Chinese, we pray, we burn incense, right? We cannot stop that. That is procedure, culture that we have to follow, right? But burning incense is also a part of pollution. So these are all some of the contributors of pollution. Clear so far? Okay. The third part is recognizing health and environmental impact. So what happens here is, first one, respiratory and cardiovascular effect. As you all know, inhaling pollution, what happens? Correct. Asthma. What else? Eventually to lung cancer can cause fatal. People can die out of it. And then, how can this be affected to cardiovascular? Heart. Yes, this pollution enters your blood. The particulate matter, right? 2.5. It enters directly to your bloodstream. What happens once it enters your bloodstream? Blood means it goes to your heart, pump out back, right? So once it goes to your heart, it actually can cause artery issue and then cardiovascular heart attack. You can get heart attack due to pollution. Now, what happens here is, for every how do I say? For every gas, we have a limit that we can intake. We can get exposed to. Carbon dioxide is quite high. We can go up to 5 ppm, 6 ppm for one day. Okay, nothing will happen to us. But now, what is the most serious problem is sulfur dioxide. People are talking about carbon. Where is the sulfur dioxide? Nobody realized that. Sulfur dioxide in the next 10 years is going to be the major contributor for pollution. And how much can you inhale inside? ppm means parts per million. It's a concentration. So how much can we inhale inside? Any guesses? 2 ppm. Anyone want to try? Almost there. We only can inhale 0.19 ppm for 10 minutes. If you inhale more, above 10 minutes, direct fatal death. Okay, that is the most serious issue. And we are talking about 0.19 ppm is urban area. What about those factory area? It's going to be even more low because factory area, the amount of sulfur dioxide is more, right? The concentration compared to urban area. So this is a major, I would say, major issue, major problem for people in future. Clear? Next is assessing effects on climate and ecosystem. So what happens when you have too much of pollution? We mentioned about haze earlier. Okay, and then again haze do what? They contribute to asthma, contribute to lung cancer and etc. etc. Besides haze, what else? What is the main thing? Global warming. What happens when we get exposed to, when we are nearing to global warming? What happens? Climate changes, right? Now, what is the season that we are having here in Malaysia? Super hot season already, and we always see this coming very frequently. Correct? Or very, very hot. Suddenly it was cold. Suddenly it's too hot already. What is happening? Why this climate changes? We are not supposed to have hot season now. Correct or not? But why suddenly we are having this hot season now? Because of global warming. That is the main thing. Now, next is what happens, like I mentioned just now, if we have too much of sulfur dioxide in the environment. What is going to happen? When sulfur dioxide have accumulated in the clouds, it has exposed to oxygen, exposed to water, acid rain. Exactly. When we have acid rain, it's going to affect all the monuments. It's going to affect historic building. Why? Because it causes rusting, corrosion. It's going to affect bridges. Bridges is going to start to break because of corrosion. What else? It's going to also affect those aquatic ecosystem. And then we are going to lose a lot of fishes, seafood. Seafood is one of the main contributors in Malaysia, right? We get seafood from Malaysia, from states like Sabah and all this. We have a lot of seafood. So this will all be affected because of acid rain. Okay, and then the entire ecosystem will become imbalanced due to reduced biodiversity and also habitat degradation. Okay, now going to the vulnerable groups risk. Who are at risk for pollution? Children. What? Usually kids, children, below 5-year-old would say. They are most at risk. Why? Because their lungs is still developing. Okay, they don't have the full lung yet. Their lungs is still developing, so they cannot have the capacity to pump properly. Unlike us who is adult, we have better lung function compared to kids. Okay, next, who else? The elderly people. Why? Because they have weaker immune system. So their immune cannot accept, cannot work faster. Okay, they tend to fall sick easily with pollution. And the third one would be
those who have respiratory disease.
Exactly, those who have existing conditions, like those who have asthma, those who have heart disease. So these are the people who are vulnerable. They are known as the vulnerable group. Not only that, we have another one more group, which is low income community. Why? They are exposed to pollution higher compared to us because they stay. Usually housing, right, houses and all, they are cheaper when they are towards the industrial zone. So what happens there is, those who are in low income, they usually get their houses nearby to industrial zone. So their exposure towards this pollution is higher. Second thing is, when we say industrial zone, what happens is they have limited access to healthcare facilities. Clear so far? So now analyzing economic burdens of pollution. So pollution leads to rising healthcare costs. So what happens here? When When there is too much of pollution, we fall sick very frequently, correct or not? When we fall sick very frequently, we want to go to hospital. So what happens when we want to go to hospital? Healthcare become expensive, correct? Besides healthcare becoming expensive, you take leave, right? When you are sick, you all are working adults already. When you are sick, of course, you don't want to go to work back, correct or not? You eventually take leave, right? So what happens? You lose the productivity. So government and families, they do what? They spend more on treating their pollution-based illness instead of treating the pollution itself. Yes or no? So this has become an economic issue. What happens is, healthcare, they have to increase their expenditure. There is a lot of pressure in healthcare infrastructure, making it an healthcare issue itself. Clear so far? So, now we are going to the last content for the module 1, which is identifying current control measures. As we all know that there are a lot of traditional methods that is being used currently. First one is implementing filters and scrubbers. So one of the most common control measure is using these filters and scrubbers in industries and vehicles to capture harmful particles. As you all know that if anyone is using foreign cars like Toyota, BMW, these cars, they already have filters inside their car to prevent pollution, exposure inside the car kind of thing. And then talking about factories, power plants, they do have filter, they do use filter to prevent particulate matters being released. Okay, and these filters, they do what? They can actually neutralize. So the scrubbers can do what? They neutralize gases like sulfur dioxide, reducing emissions effectively. Next is establishing green buffers and zoning. Green buffers means your plants, your trees, your vegetation barrier. They do what? They start to plant more plants in industrial and urban areas. Why? To absorb pollutants and reduce dust and noise. And zoning is regulations separate residential and then separate pollution sources area like the industry. Previously we can see a lot of industry and housing area nearby. But now if you notice means industries has been separated, housing area, residential is separated already. So this one they are trying to minimize people's exposure to harmful emission and improving overall air quality. Third is enforcing environmental regulation. Government, they try to enforce strict environmental laws. For example, they don't allow trucks to go after 10 o'clock. They have timing for the trucks to travel. They believe that if they give this limitation time, so the exposure of pollution will be reduced. That is the first thing. And then they limit emission from factory. That means they say your factory only can remove this amount of pollution per day. Anything above that, you stop your production kind of thing. And then what happens is this regulation, they set permissible pollution level. They require monitoring very frequently, and some of the regulation they even impose penalty for violation. For factories that violate, they impose penalties. Driving industries to adopt cleaner technology and reduce pollution. Clear so far? Okay. And the last one is recognizing the limitation of existing solution. So now we have spoke about 3 different solutions, right? Filters and scrubbers, green buffer zoning, environmental regulation. But all these 3 methods, they have some kind of limitation. Talking about filters and scrubbers, they are very costly. They need a lot of maintenance. So what happens is, what happened? Sorry?
The cost of it will increase.
There is a factory, correct? Costing, there is a factory. They have this amount of budget for maintenance. But when you put this filter and scrubber, the maintenance is going to be higher. So what happens? They are going to definitely ignore those rules, correct or not? So this is one of the issue. Second thing is, when we talk about green buffers and also zoning part. Green part first, you want to plant trees. It's a very good idea, definitely a very, very good idea to plant a lot of trees. But how long the tree is going to take to grow? It's not that you plant the tree today, tomorrow it's going to grow, right? For it to grow, to do its proper job, it's going to take time. Longer time. Zoning again is causing expensive. When now, what happens to the low income family? They cannot afford houses anymore. Why? Because they come up with a residential area where got no companies. So now residential area, what happened? It becomes so expensive there. Right or not? Buying a house is not cheap anymore already. This is another issue. And then we are talking about regulation. So what is the limitation in regulation? Regulation can be weak and poorly being enforced. Correct or not? And then people don't want to listen. Like I mentioned earlier, the factory said, my maintenance is more important, my money is more important. Why should I follow those regulations? Okay? So some pollutants, especially these ultrafine particles and VOCs, they are difficult to control with traditional method alone. So that is why it is very, very important to find alternative method. And that's what it is, nanotechnology. We are going to look into nanotechnology later on. So far, do you all understand? Any question?
No.
Clear?
Yes.
So can we go to the question and answer session?
Yes.
Okay. So the first question is, I give you all option. I won't call names. You all can just see who wants to answer. Carry up your hands and then we can explain now. First question is, it is the major types of air pollutants and give one example of each.
The particulate matters. So you have like PM 2.5, PM 10. Then those are from like perfume and also some kind of like spray for the insects.
Correct.
Yeah.
Good. Very, very good. So next question. State the common methods used to monitor air quality in urban areas. What is the common method in urban areas? Just now I mentioned a few methods, right? The traditional methods. What is the one that is now currently being used? Sorry? Purifier, yes, correct. We never touch much on purifier, but I believe that every one of us, we have purifier in the house, right? So that is one of the methods, and then the purifier is not cheap also. Correct? So what else? What are the things? What are the methods? Just I mentioned. Plant more trees.
Differentiate the industry and the
Zoning. Differentiate the industrial and residential. Good. Now the third question. Share one example of how air pollution has impacted human health or the environment in your community. This is your own understanding. So maybe you can share any example of air pollution that you encounter and how do you think it has impacted you and the community. Maybe two of you can answer this one.
people are getting more disease like pneumonia, lung cancer,
Correct.
cardiovascular disease.
Yes. Pneumonia rate has increased now, right? Not as previously. Previously we don't even know what is pneumonia. But now we see even kids are having pneumonia. That is true. Very good. What else?
Nowadays, some kids will have easily get asthmatic because of the air pollution. Maybe the parents are like fetching them, maybe using bus or like say they need to walk back home whereby there are a lot of cars. So
Correct.
they've been inhaling all those chemical toxins.
Correct. Exactly. And
And then our hospitalizations get more expensive.
expensive. Nowadays you want to just go and check. It's no more cheap. Last time you can spend 20, 30 ringgit. Correct or not? Now nothing is less than 100 ringgit anymore. And this is another thing that actually affects the economy as well. Very good. So thank you. I can see that all of you all has paid a good attention. Okay, so let's go for conclusion now. What can we conclude from our module 1?
So we understand like different types of pollution.
Correct. We have covered that different types of pollution, different types of gases that cause pollution, not just outdoor, but we also have indoor pollutions. Correct? And then what else we have covered? That traditional method is not the only method which is efficient for cleaning the pollution. Correct or not? And then what else? What else we spoke about?
Challenges.
The challenges about traditional method. So what happens here is nanotechnology offers a promising path forward with its advanced capability. So we know that instead of using this traditional method, we have something better. We have something innovative that we can look into, which can overcome all the current challenges. Okay, can understand now? So these are the 3 references that I have used for this module 1. First one is Air Pollution Control Equipment Selection Guidebook. Second is Air Pollution Concept Theories and Application. And the third one is Air Pollution Health and Environmental Impact. So if you have anything, any doubt, you can also refer this book. They clearly explain everything. Okay? So before we end the session, you have one assignment to do. So remember the groups that you are in. You are group 1, group 2, right? So you are going to be in the group. What you are going to do is you are going to complete assignment 1. You have 30 minutes, and then after you complete this assignment, you can go for your coffee break. Coffee break is for another 30 minutes. Once you are done, and then you come back for your module 2. So please do this assignment 1 with your groups. In case you have anything, and then you can come and ask me if you have any doubt. Clear? Any questions so far?
No.
How come no question? Nothing to ask already. So we can start with assignment 1.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. You can start now with your assignment 1. So welcome back everyone. I hope that you all had a very good coffee break just now. Okay, so before we move on to the next module, the next session, we will just go through a recap about whatever that we have already done in module 1. So module 1 we had 4 contents, correct or not?
Yes.
What are the 4 contents? Can you remember? First one is understanding the types of air pollution. So all of you that you know that we have particulate matters, correct or not? PM 2.5, PM 1.0, 10, and then we have ultra fine particulate matter, which is PM 0.1. So what we learned that air pollution is more than just visible smoke. It comes in many forms, correct or not? So what happens is, what happens when we have too much of particulate matter? It forms, the second one, identify pollutant sources. It forms gases, correct? A lot of gases like carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, which mostly come from burning fossil fuels. What else? Lifestyle, yes, the spray that we spoke about pesticides, agricultural, and then we spoke about, what else we spoke about? The factory, and then urban area, and then your household, indoor, outdoor. Okay, good. Then what else? We never touched much on deforestation, but deforestation is as equal as burning the open burning, correct? Open burning is also pollution, right? Yes or no? It releases a lot of gases. And then we have construction, hospitals, schools, All these things are pollution contributing area. Next is recognizing the impact. So first is where all these gas come from. We already covered that. All these industries and everything. Next is recognizing the impact, where it comes from. And it impact who? Sorry.
The human health.
Human health, environment. Human health means who it affects? Young kids, elderly people, low income community, and also those who have current condition itself. So next is control measure. So control measure part is how traditionally they are controlling all this problem. Zoning, regulation, filter and scrubber, planting more trees, what else?
Have strict regulations.
Strict regulation, correct. Anything else that did we miss? Okay, so how do we manage all this is by all these things that we just mentioned, right? Some of the current control measure, what is the difficult part, the challenges part?
Is that like planting more trees, that will need more time to grow.
Exactly, planting trees you need a lot of times, a lot of time consuming issue. Regulation is poor enforcement, and then we have zoning.
It's expensive.
Zoning is expensive, and then we have scrubbers and filter.
They're also expensive. So the
Correct, for maintenance.
people might not follow the regulation because they have not enough money.
Yes, correct. So it contributes to so many other matters. And then we have something that we never touched earlier was promoting public transportation. Instead of we driving car, each of us drive one car, we promote public transportation. But is public transportation a feasible thing? No, also. Why?
Because like usually there are news like Rapid KL having like need to store not enough trains
Correct.
during the peak hours especially.
Yes, peak hours not enough train, and then it is so congested also for you to take those public transport. Second thing is those accidents that is happening in public transport is another issue. And then if you want to use these trains, commuters, sometimes there is delay. So let's say you need to reach early, you have to move 3 hours, 4 hours earlier. Unlike us driving our car, which we just have to move like 30 minutes, 1 hour earlier kind of thing.
And actually the Malaysian infrastructure, right, the train like cannot like direct to reach what we want to reach in the destination. We still need to walk. And Malaysia actually not really like walk friendly.
Walking friendly. True. What she says is right, means like let's say you want to go for destination B, you have to get down in some other destination. It's either you take alternative way, alternative like you have to take Grab or another one more train kind of thing, or not you have to start walking. And then when we say we want to start walking, we are not walking friendly yet in our country. Okay, that is another issue there. So now we also talk about these filter and scrubbers in factories, right? They are like it's a very good thing talking about filter and scrubber. It's good to implement all this, but again when we say maintenance part, it is very crucial matter when it comes to the company. Why crucial matter? Because the company don't want to spend more money. They have their monthly budget. They have their, okay, for maintenance I only can spend this amount for this month. But when we say we have filter and scrubber, you need to keep maintaining that for a proper efficacy, right? So that become another issue. Okay. So now since we have already covered all this, we can go into our module 2. Module 2 is on comprehending nanotechnology principle. This module focuses on understanding the fundamental concepts of nanotechnology, including the unique behavior of materials in the nanoscale itself. the importance of surface area to volume ratio will be seen in this particular module, and then how quantum effects influence physical and chemical properties as well. We'll also explore how this physical and being applied in real world innovation across environmental science, because we are focusing on pollution, right? So we will look into environmental part, and then we will bring this will enable you to build strong foundation and appreciate how this nano world actually can shape our modern technology. So module 2, we have 4 contents as well. First one is explaining the basics of nanotechnology. Second one is discussing how nanotechnology works in air cleaning. Third is classifying the types of nanomaterials for air control. And fourth is explaining the safety, risk and regulation. So, going into the first one, which is explaining the basic of nanotechnology. Now, what is nanotechnology? Any idea? Have you all heard about nanotechnology before?
Yes.
Okay, what is nanotechnology then?
So you are integrating with those nanoparticles, so they are very small size in nanometers, into a technology to help, like as we are focusing on pollution, to solve all these problems.
Correct, almost there. Correct. Whatever she said, it's almost there. Basically, nanotechnology, it refers to the science and engineering of materials at the nanoscale. That's about 1 to 100 nanometers. When we say nanometer, we talk about 1 to 100. The scale for nanoparticles or nanotechnology is nm, which is nanometer. Whatever that is above 100 nanometer is still nanometer. But is that considered as nanotechnology? No, we don't consider that anymore as nanotechnology. Why? Because we say nanotechnology, we want it to be in the smallest scale. How small it could be, that is the best that we want. And that is the only one which is called as nanotechnology. Okay? So now, to put this into perspective, how small is nanometer?
Is it like a dot that you just put with a pencil? Is it?
Almost there, she's already there. Anyone can help her?
Nanoscale, like we can't see through our eyes really.
Yes, we actually cannot see. So when you put a dot using your pencil, 100 times smaller than that dot is nanometer, nanoscale. Okay. Besides that, how can we compare nanoscale? When we have a ping pong ball against the earth. So how big is our earth, right? And how big is the ping pong ball? That is the differences of nanoscale. Another one, your hair. Your hair, one strand hair with the width. Okay? That is very small, right? Nanoscale or nanometer is 100,000 smaller than that. Okay? And the next one is your fingernails. You know that your fingernails grow, right? Actually, our fingernails, it grows every second. Every second it grows 1 nanometer. Okay? This is nanoscale. At this scale, materials often behave very, very differently. So compared to their bulk form, and these differences are what make nanotechnology such a powerful and exciting field. That is why people want to actually delve into nanotechnology. Why? Because this small tiny thing can do bizarre things, big things. Okay? So now, done with the definition about nanoscale, going to exploring various types of nanoparticles and nanomaterials. Now, nanomaterials, when we see, they come in many forms. They depends on their shape, depends on the structure, depending on the composition. So some of the common types of nanomaterial or different types of nanomaterial that we can see is nanoparticle. When we say particle means what you can think in your mind? Round, small things like our face powder. All of us use face powder, baby powder, right? Baby powder is powder with all the small particles. You cannot see exactly how small each particle, correct or not? That's how nanoparticles are. They can be in spherical shape, often used in drug delivery or imaging. Okay? That doesn't limit nanoparticle for environmental. We also use nanoparticle for environmental basis. Next is nanotubes. Nanotubes are like carbon nanotubes or graphene nanotubes. What happens in these nanotubes is they are known for their strength and also electrical conductivity. And then we have nanowire. Nanowire, thin wires used in sensors and electronics like your phone and laptop. Now we have a lot of advancement in the phones and laptop, right? They are actually already implementing nanowires inside there. For example, we have this Samsung foldable phone, right? How can this actually work? How can this? Because phones, you have all these chips and wires and everything, right? Because they already start. That's why it's very expensive. Another thing, why this foldable phone is expensive? Because they have already incorporated nanowires inside them. Okay? So, the next one that we have is quantum dots. Quantum dots are semiconductor particles that emit light, useful in displays and medical imaging. So, where do you think we use quantum dots? Usually in hospital, usually for the MRI machines and also CT scans, but mostly being used in MRI machine, because MRI, they can do what? They can view, it can penetrate through your skin, can go up to your bones. They can even see what is happening internally in your bones. So what happened? Why MRI can do that? Because of quantum dots in that. Quantum dots, they give you the visibility. You are able to see things beyond our naked eyes can do. Okay. Each of these materials can be engineered for specific function across various industries like medicine, energy, and also electronics. So we have seen two things now. We have discussed about definition of nanoparticle. Next is different types of nanoparticle. I'm just telling you a few. But besides this, we also have nanofilter, we have nanoblocks, we have nano chips. Okay, there is a lot different types, but these are a few of nanoparticles that I can tell you all. Okay. Next is examining the relationship between surface area and reactivity. So at nanoscale, what happens is surface to volume ratio is very important. Usually surface to volume ratio, they increase dramatically. Why we say surface is very important? Why surface is very important in nanoparticle?
Is it like because when you have higher surface area, then it tends to have higher reaction?
Correct. Yes. What happens is nanoparticle is very small. But you cannot imagine that small particle, they actually have very good or very wide surface area. So what this surface area can do is, that is where it helps in reaction to take place. Reactivity and everything depending on the surface area. But this doesn't mean that lower surface area is not good, because it also depends on the application that we want to use. Certain application we only need lower surface area of nanoparticle. Certain application we need higher surface area. Sometimes lower surface area works better gives better absorption compared to higher surface area. So this is why nanotechnology is known as trial and error method. You cannot decide which one is the best for your work until you try, you test, and then you have to keep modifying this nanoparticle synthesis kind of thing. So when we say surface area to volume, this means that a greater proportion of atoms are on the surface of a nanoparticle compared to the bulk matter. Okay? Because chemical reaction happens only at the surface, correct or not? We have two, which we'll be looking into it later. Chemical reaction can happen both ways. One is surface, one is internal. We will see that which is more important later, or which one works better. But when we talk about surface area, means higher reactivity. That's why nanoparticles are often more reactive. They are more efficient as a catalyst and more effective in applications like pollution, water treatment, or targeted drug delivery. Okay? So the fourth one is analyzing size-dependent properties of nanomaterial. So talking about properties of nanomaterial, there are a lot of equipments which we can analyze your nanomaterial. Whether it is going to be in the particle form, or whether it's going to be in the tube form, whether it's going to be in a wire form, you can always characterize your nanoparticle. So how do we characterize? There are different characterization methods. So the main one that we always look into is X-ray diffraction, which is known as XRD. XRD does what is, it analyzes your nanoparticle to tell you what is the phase of a nanoparticle. So let's say a nanoparticle, we look into three phases now. Nanoparticle, you have anatase, you have rutile, you have bruchite. When we say anatase, that is the most favorable one for environmental basis. We always want anatase. Anatase works differently compared to rutile. Why? This is where band gap comes in the story. What is band gap? We will be looking to band gap later, but just to introduce what is band gap. Band gap tells you what is your nanoparticle's capacity to work in visible light or UV light. Okay, so it's all interconnected actually. When we say nanoparticle, right? When we say nanoparticle is in anatase form, it is interconnected. What is the band gap? The band gap is usually 3.2 or lower. Okay, so we always want to see 3.2 or lower because we want it to work in visible region kind of thing. So this is talking about the composition. XRD not only see the composition, but XRD can also calculate the nanoparticle size. Each particle size can be calculated using XRD. So they can tell you, now you have synthesis nanoparticle A, right? It can tell you that this particle, once you characterize with XRD, it can tell you what is the size of particle A. So once you're done, you characterize this particle in the B, you go for your reaction part. You can tell now this particle, this particle A with this property, with this size, it can do what kind of work. Clear? That is talking about size, but size is not only the matter, composition is not only the matter. We have many other things which also important for your nanoparticle. Next is thermal capacity. How, at what heat can your nanoparticle work? Because when we talk about industry, we're talking about companies, they work in high temperature. Correct or not? When we say high temperature means how hot is it going to be? 100 degrees? 200? 300? It can go up to 800 to 1000 degrees. And your nanoparticle should be able to work in that capacity. So how we can determine that one is through thermogravimetric analysis, TGA. Thermogravimetric analysis will tell you at which temperature your nanoparticle degrades or decomposes. Means, let's say, again talking about the synthesis A. You synthesize your nanoparticle A, right? let's say you put it in the TGA, you see I'm going to put it 800 degrees, and then at 700 degrees your nanoparticle already decomposed. Can you use the nanoparticle for industry which is working under 1000 degrees? You cannot use anymore because the nanoparticle will not work. Okay, so there are many other things which actually influence that. We just spoke about XRD, we just spoke about TGA, we even have something called XPS. XPS is spectroscopy, okay. This XPS tell you what is the oxidation state of your nanoparticle. Because your nanoparticle you are going to prepare using different chemicals. The most common one usually is TiO2, which we will be looking again later. TiO2 means, so they will tell you what is the oxidative state, what is your titanium state, what is your oxygen state on your nanoparticle. So if your titanium is in this state, how it works. If oxygen in this state, how it works. If it's different state, it works differently. So that's why, like I mentioned, when we say nanoparticle, it is always trial and error. We cannot decide when a synthesis A is going to work for everything. No. You have to keep trying and finding which is the right one. Okay? Another thing why I mentioned size-dependent property is important is, I'm sure you would have heard about gold nanoparticle. Gold nanoparticle, right? They use a lot for antimicrobial activity actually, comparing to pollution or environment. But this gold nanoparticle, when their size differs, their color actually differs. You can get gold nanoparticle being synthesized to be in the form of red color or purple color. Red and purple, how it differs is actually the size which is differ. So you don't have to go for XRD or what to determine the size, but through the color, through your visual result, you know you have actually synthesized two different nanoparticles which has two different size. Okay, so some nanomaterials become super strong, super conductive, or magnetically responsive depending on the size itself. Okay. So now going to the second one, which is discussing how nanotechnology works in air cleaning the air. So first one is understanding the adsorption of particle. So what is adsorption? What is adsorb? There's two, absorption, AB, another one is adsorption, AD. So what is adsorption? We cannot get confused between adsorption and absorption. Absorption means when pollutant is taken into the bulk of the material inside the bulk. Means that absorption will cause some kind of chemical reaction. But adsorption refers to the addition of gas or particles to the surface of a solid material. On the surface, that is adsorption. Okay. Nanomaterials like activated carbon. Have you all seen activated carbon before? And then graphite and certain metal oxide, they have huge surface area at the nanoscale, allowing to trap more pollutants such as VOC, dust and smoke on the surface area. Okay. So what happens on the surface area is the interaction makes it faster and more controllable than absorption. Why? Absorption because chemical reaction will take place. Adsorption, no chemical reaction taking place. So this will involves slower internal diffusion. Okay. So this adsorbed pollutant then it can often be deadsorbed back from the nanoparticle surface. This means that the nanoparticles can be reused multiple times, making it cost effective and environmental friendly. So now, who has hair filter in the house? All this COVID and everything. Purifier, okay. I've not seen the price of those air filters or not. So how much is it? Few thousands, right? Almost 5,000-6,000. So they have their monthly plan and stuff like that. So why do you think it's just air filter? There is a lot of air filter in the market, correct or not? Which you can buy within 500 ringgit. Why this Fove and I can't remember what is the other name. Why their air filter can go up to 5,000 ringgit.
Is it that they are incorporating this
Yes,
nanoparticles?
exactly. They are incorporating nanoparticles. Their one is nano filter inside their air filters. So what happens there is their filter, they have nanoparticles on top of that. The good thing is whatever dust inside your house, it will go and filter on the top area of the nanoparticle only. So that's why 3 months once, 4 months once, there will be somebody coming to do changing. They will come, not changing, they come and do some maintenance service. So what they do is, they just remove the filter, just like your aircon, they remove the filter, they will chemical wash it. They have some kind of chemical. This chemical is to retain your nanoparticle on top of the filter without disturbing any parts of it. So they will clean those filter and put back again. So what is happening here? Whatever that is being absorbed on the filter, you are dissolving back. That means you are removing back and you are reusing the nanoparticle. That is the reason why their product is expensive. They do not only use nanoparticle in their air purifier, they also use nanoparticle into their water filters as well. Okay, that is filtering water. It's the same process. It works exactly the same way. Okay, so now we have to tank to this nanoparticle for their small size and their large surface area, because this nanoparticle, they can absorb harmful particles more efficiently than conventional filter. That's why when we see the pricing for 2 different types of filter, you'll be wondering, I can just buy for 5 ringgit. Why am I going to buy for 5,000 ringgit? This is the reason actually. The 500 ringgit one, you cannot reuse the filter. You have to keep going and buying the new filter back. Okay. So next is investigating catalytic conversion process. So nanocatalysts are used to convert toxic air pollutants into harmless substances. This is your absorption. Okay, absorption, surface, you wash your whatever pollutant, remove it. Okay, that is your dust and everything. But talking about absorption, what happens here? It will take inside your nanoparticle. Means you have your particle, not just nanoparticle. Let's say you are using nano sheet or you are using nanotubes or whatever it is. It will not absorb on the surface, but it will be absorbed inside your particle or sheets. So what happens when it goes inside your sheet? It have reaction. So what kind of reaction? Let's take sulfur dioxide as an example. What is the reaction that is taking place then? Okay, let's say nanoparticle is made of TiO2, titanium dioxide. So you have sulfur dioxide as your pollutant. So what is going to happen now? Will react and then they are going to convert to other substances, other gases. For example, you have TiO2, you have oxygen present there, correct or not? And then you have sulfur dioxide. The moment both combine together, it will eventually convert to sulfur trioxide, and then next is the sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid is being used commercially in all the factories, right? We use sulfuric acid in the lab, right? So this is what they are introducing to the factories. Now factories which are generating sulfur dioxide, they say that you use nanoparticle. You have a new reactor in your system, means whatever pollution, instead of you releasing out into the environment, you push it through this reactor. Okay, you push it through this reactor, you insert nanoparticle inside the reactor, let the reaction take place. So what reaction is going to take place? Sulfur dioxide with TiO2 is going to release out sulfuric acid. You remove out the sulfuric acid, that is already the next income generation for you. So this is called as valorization of product. You change your product into a value added product. Okay, so that is talking about sulfur dioxide. Let's talk about automobile vehicles, right? How we can convert that? How we can do that? So you can convert this harmful exhaust gas like your carbon, hydrocarbons or into less harmful, which is carbon dioxide and water. How they do is you use platinum. Platinum can dramatically reduce air pollution from the vehicle. Next we have is simple degradation of pollution using TiO2, like I mentioned. TiO2 in the presence of sunlight or in the presence of UV light, they can degrade your pollution. They can degrade your sulfur dioxide into sulfuric acid. What else? They can degrade pesticides to become some other pharmaceutical product. Okay, there are research that is being conducted in such a way. Okay. Next is we have examining photocatalytic reaction, for example TiO2. Why we say TiO2? Because TiO2 is known as the most powerful tool used in air cleaning. Okay, photocatalyst, when we say pollution, TiO2 is the commonly used photocatalyst. And why this TiO2 is very, very important, or why is it known as the powerful thing is, you can always alter your TiO2. Why? Like I mentioned just now, TiO2 consists oxygen, and then our environment we have oxygen. Correct? What happens when you can get TiO2 exposed to the environment? They generate reactive oxygen species, which is your ROS. So, like hydroxy radicals and superoxide ions that break down the organic pollutant. So, when we have TiO2, one particle, in TiO2 we have something called conduction and also valence band. Remember I told you about the band gap. So, what happens here is in TiO2, the moment you the moment you synthesis and you get it exposed to the sunlight. Sunlight is known as visible light. What happens is this band, this valence band, it gets excited. Once it gets excited, it releases out this ROS. ROS will work with the environment to clean the pollution. Clear? This reaction is effective, sustainable and doesn't produce any secondary pollutant. So, TiO2 is often done in coating and filters, like I mentioned earlier, to create self-cleaning and air purifying function. Okay, so far? Okay. And then we have the evaluating virus and bacterial deactivation mechanism. Now, how can nanotechnology help in virus and bacterial deactivation?
Isn't it go through the membrane of the bacteria?
How? Yes, almost done. It is also using the ROS. Again, everything that plays with nanotechnology, it plays with ROS itself. So this nanotechnology is known as powerful antimicrobial agent. So nanoparticles like silver, copper oxide and zinc oxide, they have this antiviral and antibacterial property. Okay, these particles can do what is they disrupt the microbial cell membrane. Okay, and then they generate this oxidative stress to kill those bacteria. Then they bind to viral proteins or DNA, stopping replication to take place. And in air filters and coatings or spray, this nanoparticle can do what? They deactivate the pathogens in the air. So making indoor environment to be more safe, and then especially critical in healthcare and disease outbreak during those times. Clear? So to summarize about nanotechnology in working in clean hair. Okay, they have these 4 things that we touch. One is adsorption, absorbing harmful particles using high surface area material. Then converting pollutants using nanocatalysts. Third is breaking down toxins via photocatalyst reaction like TiO2. Fourth is neutralizing those pathogens like viruses, bacteria with antimicrobial property. So this combination, they do what? They allow us to purify air more efficiently, sustainably and safely than ever before. This is a promising step towards healthier living environment. Clear so far? So 2 things we did now. So far in module 2, first is definition, introduction about nanomaterial. Second is we discuss how nanotechnology works in air cleaning. Now, classifying the types of nanomaterial for air control. First one, exploring carbon nanotubes and graphite. So, where do you see carbon nanotubes and graphite usually?
Anything that's relating to electric.
Yes, anything that related to electric, semiconductor, or what is it? Thermal. You have thermal, you have heat. Okay. Carbon nanotubes and graphite, they are known as 2 of the most advanced nanomaterial in air filtration and also sensing. Something that you can sense. Okay. Carbon nanotubes are cylindrical structure, correct? With exceptional surface area. They have very good mechanical strength as well as electrical conductivity. They are used in filters and membranes to trap this fine particulate matter. Remember your 2.5, 10, your 0.1 ultra fine particulate matter. So this can be done using this carbon based nanomaterial. And you know sensors that can detect gas or not. Have you seen companies of it? This is correct. This is sprinkle. You give sprinkle, right? This one can sense your smoke. But have you seen those companies where they are working time? They have to keep checking their pollutant around them, the gas around them. There is a device. This device they can just walk around, and then this device will keep sensing how much oxygen, how much carbon dioxide, how much sulfur dioxide. This is to control the pollution release around that area. So this particular sensor, how it works is actually using these nanotubes inside there, either carbon or graphite. Now, talking about graphite alone, graphite is a single layered carbon atom. It is very, very unique. Why? Because it has this 2D surface and they are chemically very, very reactive. So where do you think we use this graphite? Where can it is used in air filtration, but graphite is used where mainly? Indoor or outdoor? Usually graphite is used indoor. Okay? It absorbs a lot of this VOC. Remember your VOC? Volatile organic compound. So they use your graphite nanotubes are used to absorb this VOC, and this material is unique because they are extremely lightweight and they offer high durability and also efficiency. Yeah? Next is identifying metal oxides. Metal oxides like zinc oxide and TiO2 they use in air purification. Metal oxides, like I mentioned the TiO2 just now, right? You add in extra, which is you add magnesium, or you add copper on it, or you add manganese on it. Why we are doing this now? When we add all this into your nanoparticle, right? Remember the band gap that I mentioned? It reduces the band gap even lower. For example, let's take copper. Copper can do what is, we have your TiO2. TiO2, when you prepare, it is in band gap 3.2. Like I mentioned, this is the general. And it is phase 3.2. more than rutile more than 3.2. Now, what happens when it is in rutile? It works in UV. Correct or not? But we want UV can cause skin cancer, can cause skin disease. UV is harmful. Correct or not? So we want to work in normal condition, which is visible light. What is your visible light? Your sunlight. What is your sunlight? What can mimic your sunlight? Your normal fluorescent light. We want to work in this light. We don't want to do something that is harmful to us. Correct or not? So that is the reason we add this metal extra inside. Because why? This metal, it reduces the band gap. It increases its visibility to work under visible region. So what happened? The wavelength of this nanoparticle will be between 400 to 600. So once it can be between this range, your band gap reduces, your oxidative ROS. Your ROS increases, allow better pollution absorption. Okay, so far clear? So this is your metal oxide. Next is polymer based nanofiber and their application. So polymer. When you hear polymer, what do you think? Chain.
Yeah.
Polymer chain. Okay, what else? Your mask. Your mask. Correct or not? You use mask, right? During COVID time, all of us use mask, right? So how does the mask work? It's just mask. I think it's just normal cloth, right? To cover my this one. But what is so special in the mask? Yes. How it blocks the particle? It has different layers. It is made of polymer actually. Polymer. Okay, or we also can say it as nanofiber. So this, obviously the mask that we are using is not 100% nanofiber based polymer. They are just normal polymer. But we are going to say that nanofiber made polymer masks, they have higher efficiency. Why? This face mask can do what is, they can prevent the pollution being entering through your face mask. Okay. Besides your face mask, we have HVAC system. What is your HVAC system? Heating, validating, air conditioning system. A system that you use in your house. Okay, so this HVAC system and also clean room environment. So this materials, they are usually nylon based nanofiber. They can be done or synthesized through the method called electrospinning. Okay, so what they do is these fibers physically trap dust, bacteria and also aerosols and can be impregnated with metal nanoparticles or activated carbon to add chemical and biological filtration. Clear? So the last part for this section, for this content 3 is analyzing composite materials designed for air control. So now when we say composite materials, the meaning of composite means not just using one, but you use two in combination. Means not just TiO2, but we mix TiO2 with graphite. So what happens when you add both is, we know TiO2 can absorb. Correct or not? Now we don't want just absorb, but we want to add graphite for it to work as absorb as well. So it absorb and it also absorb. Two things: the air pollution being absorbed the TiO2. Meanwhile, it is also being absorbed in the graphene. It does its work, changing it before being removed to the environment. Okay. these smart composites are being engineered for use in next generation air purification system. Currently, no research is ongoing, but this is known as the next generation purification system, including wearable air purifiers. You have your smartwatch, right? Smartwatch now can detect your heart rate and everything. In future, your smartwatch can detect what is your pollution around you, how dirty around you. So that is the next generation. Okay. So this is the last content for module 2, which is explaining the safety, risk and regulation. So now, as much as nanomaterial is known as this groundbreaking benefit, it has a lot of good things, correct or not? We must carefully assess their potential risk to human health and also the environment. Why?
Because we might not know what impact it will give to us or the environment. Because although it brings benefits, it might also have limitation or challenges.
Yes, correct. Nanoparticle, it depends on how you use it. Nanoparticle can be good to us, it can also be bad to us. It depending on how we are going to use it. So first is assessing human health concern related to nanoparticle. When we say nanoparticle, again nanoparticle is going to be small, correct or not? So it is easily being inhaled or enter inside our human body or even through injection. Yes? So what happens here is, if nanoparticles go into our body, it interacts with cells and organs, and it can cause some other complication. So that is why it is very, very important for us to make sure that whatever nanoparticle that we are doing, whatever we are dealing with, we are not directly in contact with it. We can be directly in contact, we have to do the work, but when we are doing this, what happens is we have to fill with all our PPE and etc. and etc. So next is evaluating the environmental life cycle of nanomaterial. So nanomaterial, when we say life cycle means what? We need to know what happens to the nanomaterial before, during and after using it. Means this refers as nanomaterial environmental life cycle. So the key concern here is, once you release this nanomaterial, what is going to happen to the environment, and what is going to, where is it going to release it? Let's say you say that nanomaterial is good for pollution. You already prepared the nanomaterial. Can we just go and release it in the environment like that? We cannot just go and release it in the environment like that, correct or not? So can we release those nanoparticles in the environment? We cannot do that, right? Why? Again, because this nanoparticle, when we inhale, it's going to go through your bloodstream, it can go up to your lung. So in the name of killing pollution, to prevent any kind of disease for us, we are actually bringing new diseases. So that's why evaluating the environmental life cycle is very, very necessary, or I would say it is mandatory to be done when we are dealing with nanoparticle. So now going to the third point, which is implementing safe handling and disposal practice. When we say nanoparticle, it is mandatory or it is important for us to have proper safety protocol or a proper safety method for us to use to dispose the nanoparticle. When we are conducting research, right, we cannot just use nanoparticle and then just throw it in the bin. No, it doesn't work that way. And then when we say we want to incorporate nanoparticle to the factories, they need to do all the screening process, right? They cannot simply take nanoparticle and throw it. So it is very, very important for us to know how to dispose the nanoparticle. And then we say safe handling. What is safe handling? Using fume hood. When we are handling the nanoparticle, it is very, very important for us to use fume hood, because we don't want to inhale the nanoparticle again. We have filtration, right? And then we need to use your gloves. And then we need to have protective clothing, which is your your lab coat. And then when you prepare the nanomaterials, it is very important for you to label those nanomaterials clearly. Even if their bulk counterparts are considered to be safe. Usually they say when your nanoparticle is in the form of bulk, many, it is considered safe. It won't harm people. But it is very, very important to label it. Why now? We want to prevent any kind of vaporization or aerosolization of your nanoparticle, because dry powders, they can fly in the environment. Now, talking about waste management guideline, how can we dispose this nanomaterial? You cannot simply dispose nanomaterial easily unless you are doing your regeneration. That is different story. Like I mentioned, value-added product, that is different story. But before we dispose any nanomaterial, you need to treat it. And the good thing about nanomaterial, for example TiO2, you can treat it just by using water. Nanomaterial works very well in water. You can just clean the nanomaterial, especially TiO2, you wash it with water, then you can dispose it. So treating the nanomaterial regularly using chemical waste or water, this will be the best method for disposal. So training and awareness are crucial to ensure that all personnel know how to handle nanomaterial safely. And the last part is reviewing standards and testing protocols for regulation. So globally there is a lot of regulation or framework, and this they evolve, they keep evolving. When we say nanomaterial also, nanomaterial is something that is rapid, right? Rapid advancement. They keep changing. The importance of nanomaterial is differing. Today we need nanomaterial for different purpose. Tomorrow we need nanomaterial for another purpose. Correct? There is differs. It happens. So it is very, very important for us to follow the testing protocols or regulation. The first one is ISO. ISO is International Organization for Standardization. The second one, worldwide one that we follow is US EPA, which is Environmental Protection Agency. So what they do here is the protocol actually consists the risk assessment method of nanomaterial, standardized toxicity testing procedure, and then transparency in product labeling and disclosure. So without this, it becomes difficult to manage a risk across industries and borders. So talking about this safety, risk and regulation of nanomaterial, in summary, nanotechnology holds a great promise. It is safe if it is being used in proper manner. So it is very important that for us to understand, to have a comprehensive understanding of how potential health and environment risks are. We must also adopt this lifespan focused evaluation, strict handling and disposal protocols, and internationally recognized regulation to ensure that nanomaterials contribute to a healthier, more sustainable future. Clear? So far, module 2, easy, simple. Can we go to the question and answer session? Can I? So, first one, list 3 unique properties of nanomaterials that make them effective in scientific and industrial application. Who wants to try? Group A, okay, tell me.
So the nanoscale size, 1 to 100 nanometers, so they are considered as a nanoparticles.
Good, what else? Need 3. You want to try the second one?
Okay. Thermal stability, because like in industrial factories, the temperature will be like 800 to 1000. So if let's say that nanoparticle is like, how to say, like don't achieve that thing, that temperature, so it will not be usable.
Good. Another one more? Group B, you want to try?
The surface area.
The surface area.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it depends with the application itself. So sometimes high surface area will work well, and low surface area will work well for the
Different application.
different application.
Good.
related the reactivity.
Good. Okay. Second question. State how nanotechnology mechanism help in removing harmful particles or gases from polluted air.
Absorption and conversion method.
Good. Absorption and conversion method. You can either absorb or you convert the nanoparticle. Good. Third question. Share examples of two types of nanomaterial used in air purification and describe their specific roles. Two types of nanomaterial? Graphene, carbon. And their roles is they are being coated in the filter and then
Very sensitive, can just detect the material.
yes, they can detect the material, they can sense the material. Okay, second thing is you can remove them whenever you want. Adsorption and also desorption. Clear so far? Okay, so now before we start the case study, just to conclude a bit, looking at your module 1, we have covered the pollution, what is pollution, from where pollution has come and everything. Now talking about module 2, we basically spoke about or we learned about nanomaterials. What is the importance of nanomaterial, how nanomaterial can help in cleaning pollution, what are the different types of nanomaterial, what are the properties of nanomaterial, and then what are the uniqueness of nanomaterial, as well as the different rules and regulation of nanomaterial. So it is very, very important for us to understand that traditional method is good, it is being used now, but traditional method is not going to be the long-term method for air pollution. So that is the reason why we are going into nanomaterials. So now we can start the case study. As the earlier one, you have your two groups, right? So you remain in the same group. You can refer to module 3 in the paper that is given earlier. You have a case study there. So you have 20 minutes to finish your case study. Once you have done your case study, you can come in front with your groups, present in response of your case study. Clear? Any questions so far before we end? Before you can start the case study?
Industry, we propose that this because the filtration first thing is expensive, right?
Yes.
And then is this one actually cheap?
Nanomaterial is cheap because their raw material is very, very cheap. Thank you. Sharp 60 minutes.